boss, I would not have gotten paid the next pay time if I had said anything. In fact, I probably would not have had a job. That is what has held women back across this country. They can't step out because the laws are not there sufficient to protect them. And paycheck fairness is critical. It is really critical because the equal pay law and Title VII are almost 50 years of age, and there's never been any work, any updating on them. And what I talk about, and talking about means whether or not they can pay their utilities and the mortgage and buy food and buy medicine. It's critical that we get our women and our pay what they need to pay. We've had it on the books. We've had it there. We've had the law. But we've got to pass paycheck fairness. It's really critical. I would like for any of you to know anybody in Alabama, tell them to contact the senators from there, because my senators vote no on everything. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. They vote no. I think if it was the lottery, they vote no. But everything, they vote no. It's just, and there's not a lot of money in a case like this. It's not against corporate world, because you see that in my case, you have to prove it, and if I worked for a smaller employer, I would have only been spending $550,000. And most of the working people live paycheck to paycheck, like I did, so your attorneys would have gotten 50%. So I wouldn't have, it's never been about the money to me. At that point in my life, it's been about what's right. And this is right. It's right for the American family. So thank you for listening to me, and support my friend Rosa. And but you've got a unique congresswoman here. You really do. I know you know it already, but I know it too, because this girl means a lot to me. She was one of the first people who called me after my husband passed away, and she sent flowers to my home. And I sat there every day and looked at them and knowing that Rosa was thinking about me. And that means a lot. She's got the heart, and she puts her smarts with you, so that's important. That's unique. I've not met anybody else exactly like that. One of the things that really told me about this chat briefly is that there was at some point, and I think I've got this right, Lillie, that the lawyer said to her, well, if the case, if you didn't have won the first case, you would have been liable. Oh, I'm still liable. You're still liable for Goodyear's legal fees. And she asked about her home. Would that jeopardize her home? She said, well, maybe it could. So she explained that to her husband. And he said to her, we've been at the bottom before, we can start again. But it was everything on the line. Everything on the line. And she's not been afraid to take it on, to take it through. And I will just, you know, this is a quote. I mean, this was $1,500 to $2,000 a month that she lost. And she worked hard for it. And fundamental to this issue is dignity. It's respect. It's about valuing what women do in our society. That's what its reality is that what you do is not regarded in the same way. The person doing the same job happens to be a man. I tell this story, Lillie, because I look at the Congress. I served in the Congress. George Miller is the Congress from California. John Larson, you can see. We all come from all over the country, men and women. We come with different philosophies. We come with different skill sets, different educational. Everything is different, different interests.
we are paid the same amount of money for the job that we do. It's the same job. That is not the case for women in our society today. And that is whether or not you are a bus driver, a waitress, a news anchor, an engineer, a university professor. It runs the whole gamut. So don't let anybody stop this on saying that women make these life choices, or it's about your credentials or your educational background. It's hogwash. You're doing the same job, and you ought to get paid the same wage. That is simply what we're saying here. I want to quote Michelle Obama about Lillie. She's long since lost her ability to gain any financial return from her Supreme Court laws. But she's out on the road fighting hard to make sure that our daughters and granddaughters get paid equally for the work that they do. She's a special lady, a working class lady, and a fighter. And I think you heard her words today. You see her, you listen to her, and you know that all of that is true. No higher honor than to have you at this gathering here this morning. Thank you very, very much for what you've done already. I'm going to open up to questions, but Theresa said something very, very important. We have 40 co-sponsors in the Senate. So we have a little ways to go. You've got friends all over this country. You should be on the phone. You should have your friends talk to their senators. Sign up. We get this bill to the floor of the Senate, I defy any one of them to vote against it. Any one of them to vote against it. It was overwhelmingly in the House, and they said it couldn't be done. But we did it. We did it in the House, now we need to do it in the Senate, and we'll have a signing ceremony at the White House. We can do that, we can do that this year. We're not Pollyanna, none of us here. We know what the fight and the struggle is. But this can get done, it can get done this year. So we need your help all over the country. We can get you the list of the people who have not signed up. So we know where you're going. And we can provide that for you, immediately, today. So let's just open this for questions for any of us, for all of us. Yes. Identify yourself.
Good morning. I'm Natalie Holder Winfield. Thank you to Theresa Younger for the great gathering, as well as you, Representative Rosa Delaura. Ms. Ledbetter, I was an associate at the time that your firm, that your case came out, and I had the pleasure of reading through the lower court decisions as well as the appellate decisions and the Supreme Court decisions, and I want to commend you for doing something that very few people can do. You scared a lot of attorneys, okay? Because people really didn't know what to make of the decision, or they didn't really know what to make of the new legislation that had come down. So, as an employment lawyer who now creates sexual harassment development, sexual harassment prevention training programs and diversity training programs, oftentimes I hear from people who have legitimate cases, well, I didn't know that anything awry was going on in my past. Things were okay when I was working there. Even though you were at Goodyear, you were not being paid equally and fairly to your male counterparts. One of the things I wondered as I was reading through your case, what was the work environment like? Because oftentimes people only think to file a complaint when something hasn't been triggered. They've been fired, they learned about something that, hard and concrete. As to, Judge Alito's wisdom, when he said that you should have filed a complaint years ago, could you tell us about the work environment at Goodyear?
Actually, the work environment for women was very hostile, but there were very few of us. They had very few women. I only knew probably 2 others when I first hired in. But one of them would say to me was watch my back. I was giving advice about who I ruffled because I might ice them somewhere. So I sort of kept my eyes open, my ears open, and I had a few mentors along the way that helped me. And that helped me survive. But I felt like I was a trailblazer because this is a great job for a woman. Women are good organizers. They're well detailed, they don't miss anything. It's a great job. It was not the job that should be exclusive to men only. So I felt like by persevering and staying through it and making it to retirement that I would be a trailblazer. Now I did have that agenda ahead of me once I saw the conditions, but I tolerated a lot because you want to get along. You don't want to make waves unnecessarily. You want to fit in. And I'm a believer that if you prove your capabilities and your skills, then you will survive if you do the right thing. And right after hiring in, though, the union people, which is still working union, they were very respectful. I became known as Miss Lillie. It didn't matter if you were 20 years older than I was or younger. Everybody called me Miss Lillie. And that showed respect because that's all I ever said to them. You need to respect me for the job I have. You don't have to like me because they had not been managed or supervised by a female before. One of the problems I had early on working night shift, if I had a person get ill and had to leave, I would have to call overtime in. Well, when I heard, I don't know why women always answer the phone in the middle of the night, not me. So I would call somebody's house and I'd say, this is Lillie Ledbetter, good year, may I speak to David? I need to know if he would like to come to work at 3 a.m. She'd hang up on me. Well, I suddenly, and then the guy come in the next day all sleepy-eyed, he said, oh, Lillie, I've been up all night explaining who you are. So I got smart. I went up to the office and the janitor would be there cleaning offices, so I'd say, hey, I got something for you. I dialed the number and I said, now ask for David or Joe or whoever. He'd ask for it and then I'd get on the phone. I'd say, David, you want to come to work? That worked good. I did ballroom dancing for 8 years. I did competitions, so the company put a little blurb in their paper and a photo of me with my dance instructor at a competition, and then I could call up and women would say it to 1 o'clock in the morning, how'd you get started at that? How much does it cost? It's a lot of fun. And then they say, yeah, David, get up here, you got to go to work. So there was a lot of obstacles. But what I tell young college women today, you just have to take each battle as it comes to you and try to work around it. Not getting caught and making big waves. You're not fighting war, you're surviving. So, that always works. So, but they have a lot to learn, and I think Goodyear's improved, but I think they're still adhering to their old payment systems.
I just wanted to mention, as I was touting how wonderful we're doing here in Connecticut, I negated to tell some of the real stories that we're hearing, like last year from the Wallingford paraprofessionals, who of all the unions in town were the only union made up of 90% women that were not getting health insurance coverage. And they had to fight to get that coverage. But, when I hear Ms. Lillie speak, I am reminded of the conversation that I have with women state troopers, who right now in the state of Connecticut, we have no women in the upper leadership realms of the state police. And those women are fighting daily and have fought for over 20 years to have their leadership recognized. And quite honestly, what we hear is they don't have the qualifications. We don't have enough women in the ranks. And yet they are the ones who have gone back to school to get advanced degrees, who are going back to work, who are taking on new challenges, and who are taking on commitments every day. And, many of these women, I met with a handful of them the other day, Ruth is one of them, and they said, we'd like to retire. But the reality is, who will keep up this battle? Because the women who are now in the ranks will be chastised, maybe retaliated against, if they stand up and start questioning the leadership. In fact, they hear what you were saying, which is, if you put more than 2 or 3 women in a troop, you've got all too many women in a troop. And so only one unit in the state has, I think, 7 or 8 women. Everywhere else, women are riding alone. They are in those troops alone, by themselves, paving the way, ensuring for the next generation. So, while I say we are doing well in Connecticut, we still have lots of battles to go, and it is, women who keep standing up in their workplaces where it's not always comfortable, but keep fighting the way. So I just wanted to let people know that the battle's still happening, and those are just a couple of the battles that we hear about in the office. So I wanted to just recognize and thank the women's state troopers and state police who are continually protecting us and fighting the battle on the inside, trying to make change happen. So thank you, Ruth, and let the women know that I mentioned that.
Go ahead.
I had the pleasure of meeting Lillie.
Tell us who you are.
I'm sorry, I'm Donna Hagiga. I am with the University of Hartford's Women's Education and Leadership Fund, and before that I was with the Aurora Women and Girls Foundation in Hartford as the executive director. So I'm very interested in women's issues, and one of the things I was struck by that Lillie spoke about was if you start out behind, you can never catch up. And I challenge us in this room who work with Women and Girls Funds that we have work to do there in terms of getting our women empowered so that when they're negotiating for that first job, that they feel as though they can counter offer and so forth. I feel that that's a big area where we can work.
Just on that note, within the legislation, it talks about, if you will, skills training and negotiation for girls and for young women, so that they can go into those first negotiations and be able to stand their ground. So we're very excited to put that in.
Colleen Jackburn, Commission on Status of Women, and I'm also an arbitrator for the state of Connecticut. But I think we have to leave this room today and realize that we are regressing. We have become soft, and we're not fighting hard enough, and we're letting it, just like we're talking about the state troopers. Years ago, I represented them, and there was one state trooper, and she moved up in the ranks, and they figured out how to get rid of her. But it's the same way. Every place you go, we're accepting things, and we have to stop accepting it, and we have to get back to fighting for what we think is right for women. You know that in 1939, a woman made 57 cents an hour to $1 an hour for a man. We've gone 71 years, and we've gained 20 cents an hour. Really, we have got to get together. We have got to go home. We have got to send emails to everybody in other states and to our own senators to fight for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Adams, former Commissioner of Health in the state of Connecticut. I think there's something else we need to do. I happen to be single, but I think the women in this room that are married or have significant others need to talk to them. I don't think we're going to win this fight without getting men to understand that women's equity in the pay thing is, you are all talking about how this affects the family. It affects the family's total income. It affects your ability to educate your kids. It affects the pension that you get and that he gets when you retire. So to just try to do it women against men, I don't think is going to be successful. I think women need to convince their partners and husbands to call their senators and say, hey, I want this for my wife and daughters.
The data shows you today actually that men are as much in favor of this effort as women.
So are they lobbying for it?
It's a question of the mobilization. It's a question of the mobilization of doing that.
That's what I have found in all the audiences that I've talked to across the nation. The men get it, that's what I like. They get so enthused about it, and even young single men, they share stories about their sisters and how their mother, they watched them years ago working and struggling. So the men are getting it, and all we have to do is sell them on it, just explain it to them if they haven't heard it, and they understand. Because it's a family affair, you're exactly right.
And, I would just say, for today's event, when we were talking about who to invite, I had a conversation with my husband this morning, and he said he really wanted to come, and I said to him, today is about us recognizing the power that we have and hearing from powerful women, and I'll come home, and he can look at me as a powerful woman, and then he can go out and email his friends. So I think you are absolutely right. In fact, The battle for women's equality has really kind of, I think, reached a turning point in the fact that men do see equality as an issue that helps them and helps their families and helps their siblings and helps their mother. And I think we really have reached that. And we need to, when we go out today, make sure we notify the men in our lives that they need to take up this issue with us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nina Parati, and I'm the president of the Connecticut Employment Lawyers Association, and we had the honor of hearing this Ledbetter speak at the National Employment Lawyers Association, and I will never forget. I just wanted to thank you so much for bringing, Ms. Yoder, for bringing to the attention of everyone here the Connecticut, the amendment to the Connecticut Equal Pay Act, which has been little touted and needs to be fully understood. It has advantages even in bringing the state claim over the federal claim. There's no cap on compensatory damages. There are much fewer employers that are needed in order for an employer to be governed by it. So please educate yourself with respect to this act. And I will also say for all of you out there, all of you lawyers that fight the good fight on behalf of employees, please join my organization. The Connecticut Employment Lawyers Association is dedicated to fighting the good fight on behalf of employees and to educating those, even if your practice encompasses other areas that you do one good case a year representing an employee, you can learn, we will provide you with the resources. We're very eager to do so. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for getting out the word about the Connecticut.
I will just say, lots of people ask us all the time, what are we doing at the PCSW? And that bill last year consumed much of our time, as well as maintaining our existence. And we were thrilled with the bill. And I think I said at a staff meeting, which I'll tell you if I'm right here, about in like February of this year. Oh yeah, we forgot to celebrate that. We're fighting so hard that we forget to celebrate what we have done, and we've got a lot of talking to do, not just about that bill, but also about healthcare reform, so that women understand that steps are taking place, but that we have a long ways to go to ensure that our rights are preserved.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Susan Bethon, and I currently work for Homeland Security, so there are certain things I can't really say, but I'm going through some similar situations to what Lillie experienced, and I've been there 30 years, so I should be retiring in about 2 years, but I'm going to, again, go through. And right now I'm at a point where I'm supposed to go to an MSPB hearing on May 16th, which is totally staffed by management only. It's like a kangaroo court, and that will pretty much take me out of the running. What I'm trying to find out, in addition to my own needs, is there some central website that we can go to really storm the senators that are opposed to this bill at this point? And since we're all here in the room, is there some way we could really make an impact on a current website that would get those mails through?
Is it not? Letitia Madero, who's the legislative director for me and who has worked extensively on this legislation.
Each senator has a website.
Yeah.
But National Women's Law
The
Center.
National Women's Law Center,
Center.
that's the best place to go. The National
And
Women's-
American University, AAUW,
Yeah.
has a website that is state-of-the-art, has all the information you may need, has how to contact each senator's website or each senator's office. So the National Women's Law Center has been in this fight for 35 years, but also AAUW is really sort of leading the coalition.
Let them know what AAUW is.
American Association of University Women.
Hold on a second. I can't just see if I can. Right here, Theresa.
Voter ED, VOTERED, at aauw.org. Or you can go to the aauw.org website, and they have pieces of information there. And the National Women's Law Center, those are the two key places.
Yeah, the point is here that I have been to some MoveOn.org meetings before President Obama was elected, and they seem to be able to coordinate just some sort of a turbulent onslaught of emails.
AUW is our coordination.
They would do that?
Yeah, we do a lot of lobbying, that's why I made that website.
Okay.
It's a critical issue, and we are at a pivotal moment, and we can make a real difference in the center. I want to say thank you to Theresa for all of the work that she does. She was, we were here when we talked about, matter of fact, we were there to talk about women's health, and what was in there. She was with Senator Delaura and myself, when we went to the Milford Hospital to talk about the passage. She is there all of the time with a central focus, and Lillie and with a heart. She is truly, really remarkable.